Giuliani. I mean, I wasn't there. I was watching.
Yeah.
The pushback from these so-called representatives was unbelievable. They kept saying, are these people under oath? I want them to swear under oath that this is true. I don't believe a word they're saying. Are they under oath?
She's the executive director of USA Strong and a Turning Point USA contributor. Erin, welcome back to the show. People are fired up. We're so just a little confused. So we appreciate your fight, Erin. How you doing this morning?
Great. Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm frustrated, but I don't want to, drive it home too much. But I'm watching the election thing, Erin. I'm watching Mayor Giuliani. I'm watching Jenna Ellis. I'm watching these citizen witnesses who are really just stepping out, risking their lives and their reputations, speaking the truth. And then I don't see it on any of the news stations, Erin. What's going on?
The mainstream media is gaslighting the American public. It's plain and simple. They just want to usher Joe Biden into the White House and treat us all like we are unintelligent sheep and make us feel that we are going crazy. And they are pretty effectively doing so. And I think that's exactly what's happening. It's so hard to gather any information on this, and we get drips and drabs in bits and pieces. And pulling together one cohesive piece isn't really working or happening or being provided for us. No one's putting a bow on this. So we sit here biting our fingernails, wringing our hands, just hoping that this is going to change. But it's really hard to get all of the answers that we need and want and deserve.
It's so true. Well said, Erin. And in New York, we're just puzzled. We're completely puzzled. I mean, the shutting down businesses, without proper, in my opinion, scientific data about the virus. The virus. We're running scared. And now, and they tell us wear masks. We wore masks. We flattened the curve. The virus didn't go away. Well, who are they telling us the wrong things? And finally, thank goodness, President Trump comes up with a vaccine, and then they don't ever mention President Trump. They won't even mention his name, Erin. They go the administration. And it was one person that pushed this epic, historic vaccine, and that is Donald J. Trump. And people are afraid to say that, for crying out loud. So the fight is just, but what do you think? Give us your take, Erin, if you would, on what's going to happen in about 11 days after the states have to verify this election. Is there hope in the Supreme Court, do you think?
The clock is definitely ticking. I think Pennsylvania is going to be the key to all of this. I really, truly do. We have a conservative Republican legislature who has to deal with the electoral votes. And there's a good chance that, the Supreme Court is going to say, because of the way that Pennsylvania, and it's a very complicated case, so without getting too into the weeds, basically, Justice Alito told Pennsylvania to do X, regarding the election. Pennsylvania did not listen.
That's right.
You can't call this into a directive of the Supreme Court of the United States. Therefore, we're back in the Supreme Court of the United States, who may say these electoral votes should not be counted. However, unfortunately, before we get all excited, there is a chance that wouldn't really change anything if Biden has enough votes from other states. But you were touching on New York and how everything is shut down. I'm from Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. My son's school, in the suburbs, mind you, was a private school, so it was open. The minute after the election, Biden is the presumed, winner.
Yeah.
They shut down, the school board, shuts it down again. But what happened really was the teachers' unions were like, we have egg on our face because there are no cases of transmission in any of the private schools. We have egg on our face because we kept these public school kids out of school. You guys got to shut down now. Why are we shutting down schools when there are no cases of transmission?
Yeah.
It is so unfair to these children. It is so unfair to these parents. It's so clearly political that it's terrifying and upsetting all at once.
Yeah, why are they? I mean, I could see in public schools the teachers' union are saying, and I could see the teachers are afraid of now New York, by the way, is reopening it December 7th. But why would they do private schools? Because I think it happened with my child as well. They had I think it's like is it a false narrative is what they're spewing upon us?
Well, the county has, yes, the false narrative is the exact thing to call it. The county has gotten pressured from the teachers' union.
Wow. Yeah.
So then so the county-wide edict supersedes the private school. It's such a political nightmare. It's crazy. So we moved back down to Florida where everything is open. so my child can have a life. Not everyone has that luxury.
Wait, you listen to Erin Elmore, a great young gal, executive director of USA Strong and a Turning Point, a USA contributor. Everybody's moving to Florida. Now, you got up and you left. And Philly, by the way, great town. Love Philadelphia. It's dangerous. It's tough to walk the streets. What's happening in Philadelphia?
Everything is boarded up.
And it always has been corrupt. It's always been corrupt. And Jersey's always been corrupt. And we know it, and you just kind of live with it. So now what's happening? You got up and you left the great state of Pennsylvania. Right. And look, that's happening more and more.
Every day. And you know what you said about Philadelphia being corrupt? I'm not, because it's a little early, remembering the gentleman. So there's one Republican on the board that controls the elections in Philadelphia. There's one token Republican. And he spoke out and said, there is no election fraud in Philadelphia. I want all of your listeners to know he is complicit. He is the one token Republican that the Democrats have basically picked to say, all right, you have our back. And this is just alleged, and I can't prove it or know it for a fact, but I take it under some good sources, let's say. They'll say, listen, you just said there's no election fraud in Philadelphia. And by the way, doesn't your brother, cousin, insert relative, run a big construction company? Well, we have a huge $30 million project down at the Navy Yard. Why doesn't he bid on that project?
Yeah.
So there are motives, allegedly, to say there is no voter fraud in Philadelphia. And meanwhile, anyone that's lived there, traveled there, read about Philadelphia, they know that Philadelphia is one of the most corrupt cities, other than Chicago, perhaps, in cities in Jersey, since the history of the United States has begun.
You know what? And to your point, Erin, and to the folks kind enough to call and get upset about it, when I see the research done with this Hunter Biden situation, and the laptop, and then pictures are there, and then the press doesn't, video. They don't even acknowledge it. And it's so scary. Like, we're dumb enough to say, oh, this never happened. Like, it never happened. And they're doing the same thing with the quote unquote, when I saw somebody on a network news show say the president lied about it. Then I saw a news reporter today on a news channel that said, oh, the unsubstantiated claims of election fraud from the president. Are you watching the witnesses? Is anyone watching the witnesses? I mean, we're at a scale.
It's terrifying. It is terrifying. And you watch these people on these mainstream legacy media networks with a panel, like 5 boxes of people nodding in unison and shaking their heads emphatically. It is absolutely terrifying, the world that we live in right now. If you start to think about it too much, you start to feel dejected and terrified.
Yeah, you do. The winds out of your...
There's nothing to watch. You can't even turn on television.
That's true. That's why we always say listen to the show. And Erin, we appreciate your fight, and we appreciate you joining us. And and I say to you, listening as you listen to Erin and I, not to get dissuaded. Don't get dissuaded by them on the mainstream media. We will continue this fight, and that's why we have to be the lone voice. And if there's 1 or 2 other cable channels that stick up for, we are fighting on this. We're not going down, because you know what, Erin, I always say, the folks kind enough to listen to this program all around the country, you're not wrong. They're not wrong. And Erin, and you're fighting, Erin. You're a young gal that's fighting it, and God bless you for working with Charlie Kirk and for all the good work you do at USA Strong. So keep the fight, because we ain't going nowhere, girl.
That's right, and the truth always prevails.
That's right.
It always comes out. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks. Erin Elmore right there. And speaking of greatness,